Virtual reality was something that we've seen kind of come and go over the years. There was always promises. What's different today from a technology standpoint from past times where kind of people have been telling us this virtual reality is going to be real?
Well, like I said earlier, actually the horsepower is quite a bit of graphical horsepower you need to drive the graphics to a quality that you can actually have it take up such a big field of view in your front of your eyes. And then the displays have to be a certain resolution before they can look good also. And then there's other things like the tracking system. You know, the tracking has been very expensive in the past, and just recently, you know, in the last few years, low-cost inertial sensors and low-cost cameras have made it possible to do this at a high fidelity.
How are you guys combating things like motion sickness, which has been an issue in the past, even just with traditional first-person shooters sometimes?
Actually, so motion sickness is, you can mitigate it a lot by having these things be just higher quality. If the tracking has got less latency in it, then you can actually have a little less motion sickness. If the kind of screen is really well done, you can, if it has a low persistence, you'll have less kind of motion sickness. So there's a lot of things that can lower it. And then actually the content itself, what you put on there, has to be kind of designed for this VR experience. If you put on something that makes you run too fast that you'd really get sick in the real world, well, that's also going to probably make you get sick in VR. So you have to kind of design the content. So all these things have to be done right, and I think that we have a high enough fidelity of everything now to actually make it so most people are not getting sick. We're having really good feedback that people are enjoying the experiences.
How has your company's background working with 3D video games over the past few years helped with creating now virtual worlds in VR?
So VR is different than 3D, but it has similar underlying technology. So it is rendering something different for each eye, like 3D, and then you have different design that you need because of the fact that it's actually tracking your head and all adjusting. But a lot of the underlying math and things are very similar. So it is an advantage if you've done 3D games in the past as far as the math goes and understanding kind of something different going to each eye. But actually it's not the same. So it's just an advantage.
What excites you when you look to the future of VR?
I'm excited about a lot of things, actually, as you might have seen from my talk. But my favorite thing is actually being in another place. So there's places I would like to visit. I tend to go towards more the fantasy side of things. So there's worlds that I really care about that don't really exist, right? So I would love to stand on the wall of Westeros, which is an actual exhibit that somebody's doing right now with Oculus, I think. And I would love to walk around Hogwarts, and I would love to stand in front of Rivendell and see what that would look. That kind of thing, I would love to do that. So that's the thing I'm most looking forward to. And then there's other things that, a wider scope of applications. Actually, one of the things I worked on personally was this idea of standing on Mars. We took data from NASA and actually made a 3D environment that lets you stand on Mars. And that kind of idea is also super cool to me.
The last thing I wanted to ask you is, games are very immersive. People spend lots of hours playing games. I know sometimes with 3D that could have adverse effects versus a movie of a 2-hour experience. What are the challenges when it comes to VR for someone that's going to sit and play for extended periods of time?
I think that initially you'll see a lot of shorter experiences. That probably will be happening, but I don't actually think there's a fundamental limit of why you need to spend less time in VR than you would in front of a normal 2D display, actually. So I think we'll find that out. We are working with some, medical experts to make sure that this is all good for people, but I don't think there will be a problem that we'll cause with that.